Ho, ho, ho! Sparkly Christmas! Here we are on the earring leg of the journey. The Christmas button jewelry workshop that I'm creating my kits for. So we're gonna make earrings, and we're stacking some green buttons, and I've got 4 per stack in varying shades of green, and I'm trying to keep them as close to size as I can, but still getting that stacked effect. What I'm going to be doing is using some of these red 6/0 seed beads and going in between each button. I'm going to be using 24 gauge wire in silver and gold just to mix it up for my peeps in the workshop. For each earring, I'm going to probably use 10 inches of the wire, because the wire is going to be doubled up on itself going through these buttons. So let's get started. I've got my handy little ruler here, and I'm going to measure off 10 inches of wire. And this is the first one I'm making, so I may increase that if I need to, but I think this will be good. So the first thing I want to do is kind of get the kinks out of this wire, and I can use my nylon jawed pliers, but I don't seem to have those downstairs with me at the moment. So I'm just going to rub with my hands here. I'm just going to grab one of my 6/0 seed beads, feed that on, let it get to the center point of my wire, pull it, one seed bead on. Now I'm going to work in one of my stacks over here, and I've got 4 buttons in most of these stacks, I think. This is a 2-hole button, so this is easy breezy. Just pull it down to where it's kind of nestles right up against that red seed bead. And then you're going to put both of the wires together again so that you can feed on another red seed bead. Now the 24 gauge wire is great in order to go through the seed bead twice. So just keep that in mind. So I would say 24 gauge, 26 gauge, you probably could get by with that, but I wouldn't do any smaller wire than that. Okay, so you want to pull that seed bead down as low as you can get it, and use your pliers to kind of help you out some if you need to. I'm going to grab my nylon jawed pliers because I don't want to mar up my wire that I'm working with. Voila! These have nylon tips here, and it keeps you from marring up the wire, especially if you're using that colorful artistic wire. You don't want to scratch the coating. So you want to try to get your seed bead as far down as you can, and then it's time for your next button. Now this is a 4-hole button, so I'm going to have to do diagonal on this one in order to keep my button centered. Put the wires back together, feed on another seed bead, pull it down, and you might also need a little bit of help here with your bent nose pliers. Just don't break your glass seed bead by squeezing in between. And straighten it back up. Okay, so now it's time for another button. Feed that on. Another seed bead. You also don't have to put the seed beads in between if you don't like this look. could also say that this is a topsy-turvy button tree. There is my little stack, but I'm going to go ahead and put this fourth tiny little button here. I need to get one more little seed bead. And you can see I've got a lot of wire left. We're going to wrap it. So right here, I've got all the little seed beads in between. This is kind of topsy-turvy. The buttons that I chose have kind of a big hole, and this one didn't sit as nicely as I would have liked. Here, I'm going to use some little flower beads. I've got some little gold flower beads because I don't have any gold stars. So here is my little flower bead. Both of my wires will go through this little flower bead, and it will rest on top of my red seed bead. I'll take my round nose pliers, be right on top of this flower bead. I'm going to bend this to make a 90-degree bend over the top of my pliers. Then I'm going to reposition myself so that I can pull the wires over the top, making a question mark shape. Put my bottom pliers back in, reposition it to where I can pull the tail towards myself, and then you can just take this and wrap it around here while it's on the round nose pliers, or if it might be easier for you, take it off the round nose pliers, hold this loop with your flat nose pliers, and then just wrap it around the base while you're holding your loop. And you can use your bent nose pliers to kind of push these around, tuck them in a little bit better, give them a nice little squeeze. I get this loop back in line here because it jumped out on me. Okay, but once you've got that done, then you can trim this off. And then just poke those tails back in so that those don't bother you. And I'm going to put my round nose pliers back in that loop because that kind of messed up my round shape a little bit. I just want to make sure that I have a round loop. And I'm going to take my flat nose or my nylon jawed pliers and just squeeze that back together. And then you can bend your tree around. I don't like that wobble. So when you make yours, be sure that you try to tighten this as much as possible so that you don't have all of this wobble. But otherwise, you just put this onto an ear wire, which I have a French hook style here. I'm going to lift up this crimp bead, and I see that my opening is on the right, so I'm just going to lift up the right hand side. I'm going to pop on my earring, close that back and give it a little squeeze, and there is my Christmas tree. I prefer it to look like that. Another way to avoid doing that is to just go ahead and stack all of these and put your red on the top and bottom only. You don't have to worry about trying to go in between the wires. But this is as cute as a button. Ha ha ha, get it? Alright, so here is my second earring, and I have the same issue. This particular button is a little weeble wobbly because of the size of the holes in the button. So what I did to fix the other one is I just went in here with my round nose pliers and I grabbed a hold of the wire that's in here and just gave it a squeeze so that it holds that button exactly where I want it now. And then here, this last button, I can do the same thing where I can squeeze right here. Straighten this back up. So here's the little bracelet, Isn't that so cute, laying on the Christmas tree? Here's the button dangle earrings. And here is the button Christmas tree that was such a pain. Turned out really cute though. Here's another little button dangle earring with a little bell. Oh Christmas tree, how sparkly those buttons are. Have a sparkle-rific Christmas, y'all. Bye!